Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Hey, it's a Friday and we've got your HCC news and information, some special guests coming up during the show. You'll want to stick around. Frank Cooper's joining me. And you know, Frank, it's a Friday. Just things have been crazy, busy morning. And just before I went on the air, I had the TV on in the background. I realized that the volume was still up. So I had to go run and grab the remote right as we were getting into the show. That's the way this Friday's been.
I think great minds think alike. I had the music blasting in my bedroom, and I was like, I hope they don't hear it. So I got to run real quick. But then you left. I was like, oh snap! Let me stay right here then.
Well, you got it. What are you playing in the background? I can't hear it.
I'm playing some contemporary jazz. Okay. My Google plays my alarm, so it wakes me up every morning at 8:45. But I didn't turn it off. I got out and I didn't close my door all the way. So I'm hoping it doesn't pick up.
Well, I don't hear it. So far so good.
Good. Hey guys, we're on 5 days a week. Watch us on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of our major social media platforms, and also on YouTube. Yes, YouTube. So hit all the latest episodes, such as Houston Community College, Up to the Minute. Hit the notification bell to get all the latest episodes and campus interviews. Let's go to the show.
All right, Frank, we've got a little bit of sports to talk about because, hey, there was an NFL draft. I don't think we covered that last time you were here, but we're gonna talk about that when you get back.
Let's do it.
All right. We'll see you in a little while. We're going to kick off the show and introduce a few guests we've got coming up shortly. Dave Morales and John Stenvall. They're both co-founders of Backstage OL. You probably see them on Fox 26 locally doing some reviews from movies. Good morning to both of you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Good to see you, man.
I know we've got a great partnership. We're going to talk more about that in a little while with both of y'all, and we're real excited about it and having you on the show. Stick around. We'll be with you shortly.
You got it.
Looking forward.
All right, we're going to kick things off. We had an honors music recital last night. Hear all about that. And of course, it's Film Friday, so we'll get back to our other guests shortly. But first, we're going to interview Dr. Joel Love. And Dr. Love, you are the music professor with the HCC Southwest. Before we get started, were you the inspiration for the Kiss song?
What's funny is whenever I did get my doctorate, I actually had it on pause waiting in my car for me to turn.
Isn't that awesome? That's awesome. That's great. So you really are Dr. Love, and people are calling you Dr. Love.
That's right. Yep. I get some laughs out of it too, for sure. But yep, that's me. They call me Dr. Love. That's right.
Hey, there you said it. Awesome. Good deal. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
COVID's changed all of our worlds, and we're doing a lot of things online, including shows like this, but we're also doing our recitals and music programs online, and you had one on last night.
That's right. We had an honors recital, and it features the best and the brightest of our department. That's right.
Tell me a bit how these recitals were going, because I know this wasn't the first time you've done the online recital. You've probably been doing them throughout the last, 13 or 14 months. How is that progressing? Are you getting used to this? And do you see any light at the end of the tunnel where you guys may be doing some of these live in person?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've gotten better, I will say. Last semester, 2 semesters ago, I guess now, it was really kind of like just all hands on deck trying to figure out what to do, to give the students an opportunity to perform. And it went okay, but we've since, learned a little bit more about technology and learned a little bit more about how to make these kind of sound like they're not in a tin can. And so, in this semester, it was even great because we had some of our sort of resourceful faculty, it was kind of our support, who usually do like the recitals. They like man the stage and like do all the lights and all that kind of stuff. They actually got together and made some pretty high quality recordings for this honors recital. So I'm stoked for everybody to see it because it looks really great.
I want to ask you about that because personally, I see a lot of bands during this lockdown over the last year that have put together some good music and albums and using this time to spark creativity. And I know these bands are having to work virtually. How do you, record when there's a delay through the virtual world? Are you recording your parts separately? How did you do that? And how difficult is that?
Well, it's a great question. So basically the technology isn't there just yet, except in like really, really, really state of the art sort of things for somebody to like sort of come into the rehearsal or whatever, like on another video, like miles away. It just doesn't exist. There's a few places, like the University of Arizona did it the other day, and it was super rad, but it doesn't exist. So what you have to do basically is you have to like record some part. Does that make sense? Like a bass part or like a drum part or something.
Right, sure.
And then you record that, and then you send it to somebody else, and then that person will like play their part on top of it, or their video and their audio on top of it. Then you kind of splice that together, and so on and so forth. And that's basically how it's done in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Our film guys would probably help. Could help us do that if we needed to.
Well, I imagine it's like recording in a studio, because you're usually in your separate room recording your part, but you're listening to the other parts. I imagine it's like the same thing, except for you're not doing it live with a producer. You're recording it and sending it to them. Does it cause a lot of delay in the process, are you finding?
Well, for me, it's actually been kind of neat. For instance, I'll say my jazz ensemble that meets, what I've done is I can, as you can hear, you can probably hear my piano right here.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was hooked up so I could, but I record in all the parts basically, and I'll like take out a part, for instance, for the piano, like, you just heard a kind of an electric piano. I would take that part out, and then I would send like the whole song to my piano players, right? And then they just send me one file, and then I just drop it right in. So
Wow.
it is difficult, and it is time consuming for me to make all those parts, but it's been kind of fun in all honesty in some ways. And the kids, I say the kids, but the students really love it in a lot of ways. So
You're getting used to it now because it's been 13 months. As we move out of a post-COVID world and whatever our new normal is going to look like, do you see the recording industry using this technology more? Because it seemed to me that it's a lot easier if you've got a major artist who may be across the world to, instead of flying to your studio to record that, now they join you virtually, record their parts separately, and send them to you. Seems
definitely.
Like save the record companies a lot of money.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of changes across many industries, not only our own. But I mean, this has been going on for a while. For instance, I used to work for a film score composer in Austin, Texas named Graham Reynolds. And there's a very great violinist in New York City named Todd Reynolds. And he would like do the exact same thing I just talked to you about, like write the whole song, but like leave the violin part. And then he would send that track to like New York. And this like 5-star violinist would just shred on top of it, and it would sound awesome, So it's happening. Will it happen more? Probably, I would say.
Speaking of film scorers, we have one of them working for HCC, a man named Jeff Walton. Are you familiar with him?
No, that's cool.
Yeah, he used to be in a band called the Judies. And I believe he was a local band, which actually got a lot of success in the early 80s. But he's at least was an adjunct for a while for HCC and scored a lot of films. So look him up on
Cool.
Facebook.
I will.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Sorry?
Jeff Walton.
Oh, awesome. I got a tab open.
Yeah, look him up on Facebook. But tell us about your students that come through your program. Are most of them wanting to be professional musicians? Is this something they're doing out of passion, or do they just want to work in the recording industry? And is that viable in Houston?
Literally all of the above. Every single instance that you just said, there's all kinds of students. I mean, we get everybody. Some from, I would say ranging from like the person who's fresh out of high school that like wants to be a band director or something, and they want to get, have like a really expensive but high quality experience getting classes from, a sort of discount institution.
Sure. From
like people who are, like very, very top level and just want to get it out of the way and go to like, I don't know, like somewhere crazy, like Rice or something, and then we get older people who are like, kind of looking to, sort of further their education. I mean, really, it runs the gamut. So yeah, it's a good question, but we get anything and everything here. It's kind of a blast.
Are you, obviously we're enrolling for the summer and for the fall, we're going to be returning to campuses and with the face-to-face instruction, and if people are looking to enroll, can they look forward to that in the music program?
From all accounts that I can see, that it really is looking like it's all coming back in the fall to person. But I mean, obviously I'm not the chancellor, so sure. I can't, but from what I can see, it's really going to come back. I think there's going to be, I think there's going to be precautions in place. Like I think I'm going to like wear a mask and everybody's going to have to wear masks and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's coming back. And really, even though I'm sort of singing the praises of the electronic sort of method of doing all this stuff, man, we all miss each other. Like my jazz ensemble, when they found out that we wouldn't meet in person, everybody was like, oh man, because like we all want to play together, it's super fun. And so
it's living in this, well, from the TV side, it's a lot easier for us to do our job because it's easier for you to log in at your home as to come into 3100 Main and join us live in the studio. So it makes it a lot easier to bring in guests, but there's nothing that really can replace that face-to-face discussion, which maybe one day we'll get back to.
Yeah, I hope so.
They call him Dr. Love. They call him Dr. Love, and they call him Dr. Love. Dr. Joel Love, music professor at HCC Southwest. Thanks for joining us here.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. And I just want to say, anybody who's interested in music and wants to learn more about it, please feel free to contact me, joel.love@hccs.edu. Just hit me up. I'm happy to answer anything you got.
We appreciate that. And we'll put the links to the music program in the social media post for the show. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. You take care. Okay, we're moving on to some guys that, one of them I've known for quite some time. Of course, we've got John Stenvall and Dave Morales from Backstage OL. Dave, not to date us, but, let's look back. You and I have known each other for many years.
Yeah. And you know what? You're being generous right there. But look, I've always looked up to you, Todd. I don't know if you remember, I know one of our first experiences together, we both, and I think you actually got the gig. Do you remember TV 10 back in the day?
Oh, yeah. No, I was a guest on your show. It was your show. I went to work for TV 10. That was my first job in TV. And I started cleaning ashtrays and monitors. And then I wound up, they let me edit and work with you and host some shows and stuff like that. But yeah, that was my first start in TV. I think I was 15.
You also, I know that you didn't you also do a video music?
I worked for Video Network, Hit Video USA, which was a competitor with MTV. And then, of course, went into news with the place you're working at now, KRIV Fox 26. You've got a partnership with them. And John and Dave, how long let's bring our audience up to speed with Backstage OL, because you guys have been doing this for quite some time now.
Yeah, I mean, we started this company back in June of 2011, so we're going to be turning 10 next month.
That's great.
Dave had been on TV actually since, I think, about 2009 doing American Idol coverage. But yeah, Fox was looking for something to do for entertainment, and we were the guys that stepped up to the plate and said, we're willing to do this. We started covering movies. We were doing Broadway Across America, Theater Under the Stars, local type shows. And then over time, the movie studios started seeing what we were doing with the music industry. And they started inviting us to our first junkets to cover these films. So our first one was a movie called 21 Jump Street, which a lot of people know about.
Oh, yeah.
And then we did 22 Jump Street, 21 and over. They all started with the letter 2, by the way, all the first ones we did. And then we had a big one called Frozen that Dave did. And it kind of just catapulted from there. We went from doing about 60 movie projects that year, and now we're looking at breaking over 200 this year. We did 180 last year, so
that's incredible.
It's been ramping up, and so all of our coverage, we interview these actors, and then all of our coverage airs on Fox 26 every morning. Dave was on this morning with Josh Duhamel,
right?
And it's a nonstop machine.
And Dave, I want to correct John for a moment. He said you started TV in 2009. I can verify. I believe it was the summer of 1984 when I met you. And you were doing TV then for TV 10.
Yeah. And, that's a really fun story. I don't know if you remember or if I've ever told you, Todd, but I was in high school and there was a GM over there. His name was Bob Malloy.
Bob Malloy.
Yeah. Just found out about Bob's passing.
You're right.
Yeah. Sending prayers and thoughts to the family. But no, Bob Malloy, I got a hold of him with a friend of mine that I was going to high school with. And we called and we said, hey, we're local producers and we've got some ideas for some programming. So Bob took the meeting. So my buddy and I walk into his office. He looked at us. I wish that I had pictures of this dude. He looked at us and he goes, look, for one thing, I know that you're not a local producer. Right. Goes, what's the story? I said, okay, dude, let me just tell you, I really want to get into broadcasting. I had done the morning I went to Cy Creek and I had done the morning announcements and I just wanted to always do broadcasting. But yeah, Bob was like, you're not a local producer.
Well, Bob Malloy, he was this older gentleman, very, very heavy set from Boston. He had a thick accent. He owned this TV station. Dave worked there. I worked there. And I was just starting out. I was an 18-year-old kid. And I remember I'd come in his office. I said, Mr. Malloy, do you need anything? He'd throw me his keys to his huge Cadillac. He goes, go wash my car and bring me back some cigarettes, and he would give me like $40, tell him to give him a carton of cigarettes for like $5 back then, put gas in his car, wash his car, and then he'd say, keep the change. I'd walk out of there with like $10. Hey man, that was a good day back in 1984, but that was the way things were back then. Dave, you come a long way since then. We enjoy seeing your segments on Fox 26, and tell us about some of the latest interviews, because I know this morning you were interviewing Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, I talked to Josh Duhamel, Jupiter's Legacy. It's now streaming on Netflix. Great graphic comic series, if you're into that. It's based on the writings of Mark Millar, who comic fans will know that are watching us right now will know the name Mark Millar. So he has this Jupiter's Legacy about a group of superheroes that travel through time. Josh actually plays the same guy in the 1930s and then current day. He's the leader of a group of superheroes, including his family. His kids don't really want to be superheroes, but they have superpowers. It's an interesting series. But yeah, Josh Duhamel. Yesterday I talked to Chris Rock for his brand new movie called Spiral. Dude, it's the next in the Saw series, and it's phenomenal.
It's my favorite after the first one. It's my favorite after the first Saw movie. It's so good.
See it when it comes out. Spiral. It's so good.
John, I want to ask both of you real quick. What's your biggest, your best celebrity story?
Ooh, I guess one of them would be with. Man, there's just so many. I don't know. Maybe go to Dave first. Let me.
Okay, I have one.
Right,
Todd, and I promise us broadcasters tend to go long. I'll try to be quick in this one. So it involves Samuel L. Jackson. So when I started covering these movies, I interviewed the first time I walked into Sam. I was so nervous. He's very intimidating. He doesn't like stupid questions. I've heard him tell a reporter before me. She said, or he said, somebody said, they go, tell me about your character. And he looked at him. He says, did you watch the movie? So you got to be ready for Sam. It's
totally, I could see him doing that. Yeah.
So, and then he looks at you like that. So I sometimes, as you know, I'm a mama's boy. I've taken my mom on some of these trips. They call them junkets to interview actors. So I took Mom on Kong Skull Island, and Sam loved her, just gravitated her. All the junkets after that, he's like, where's your mama? And then at Shaft, I took her to Shaft as well. I said, I knew you were going to ask Sam, and there's Mom right now walking in. Anyway, the funny story is, at Kong Skull Island, at the end of the interview, we're not really allowed to take pictures, autographs. We're there for working purposes. Sure. Sam goes, get Mom over here. So he put his arm around and said, somebody take a picture. Because, and I still have the photo. It's awesome. A great picture. But I was like, hey, I want to be in the picture.
Exactly.
And Sam looked at me and he goes, did I say you could be in the picture? Anyway.
I could be totally intimidated, Bob. John, you got a story now?
Yeah, I do. I would say I enjoy mountaineering, and one of the reasons is because of the movie Everest starring Josh Brolin, and we actually became friends with Josh Brolin and have gotten to talk to him about how his character Beck Weathers kind of inspired me to start mountaineering. And we've actually talked about possibly doing Mount Rainier together. So
that's totally cool. Take some pictures, post them, let me know about that, because we want to show them if you get up mountaineering with Josh Brolin. Yeah. Guys, I know we're real excited about working with y'all because we've got a couple of our students, and we've started a new partnership with Backstage OL where we're trying to give our students a little bit of outside experience beyond HCCTV in the real world. And we've been talking, I know, with John and with Dave, and we're actually going to have our students creating some content for Backstage OL that we're going to share in HCCTV. Maybe you can tell us about this, Dave.
Todd, I got to tell you right now that I am just so excited about, obviously, reconnecting with you because you're just a great guy, and I've always respected your work. You are an incredible journalist, and what you're doing now for HCC is just amazing. The fact that you were real quick to get back, I know your excitement, eagerness. Look, back in the day when we were young bucks getting started, you just heard my story. I lied to get into TV as a high school student. The opportunities, one of the things that I like to talk about regarding education is it is a who you know business, but it's also what you know. And you can incorporate both of those by internships. I interned with the radio station here in Houston back in the day, 93Q. John Lander was there, Rod Parker was there, because I knew I wanted to get in broadcasting of some sort, be it radio or television. I ended up doing radio for a couple of years, now back in TV. But, you know, the opportunities as a young person myself, that's what got me into this. Real applications, real world, working in the media. And that's why we are excited to work with HCC. The students you've sent have just been outstanding. I could see the excitement in their face. And Todd, I'll close with this. When I see the excitement in their face, it gives me a refresh of what it was like when I first started. You know, I'm not burned out yet. I see you're not either, but it's like you can get over the years, people can get jaded. By seeing these young students that are working with us, and they're incredible, Todd, I get that feeling that I had when I first started. So we are excited to work with HCC, and this is going to be a great partnership. So excited about it.
Yeah, and John, you know, this is important for our students too, because you and I talked about this when we were discussing the partnership, but having that on your resume, and now these pieces that they create for you guys are going to be with major stars and going to be content we can show on HCCTV. But most importantly, these students are going to have things and links they can put on their resume that they can use to show their experience.
Exactly. I mean, right out of the bat, they're working on a project with Angelina Jolie. I mean, wow. It doesn't really it doesn't get much bigger than that, you know? And so being able to give them the resources to be able to do that, like Dave said, it is a very close-knit group. So it's all about who you know as well. That's one thing you learn after you graduate, at least I did, was all the networking side of it. And so they're going to be in front of these studios already, you know, as juniors, as seniors in college. The studios are going to see their work. They're working on major motion productions with the biggest stars in the world. And so, yeah, they're going to have a really stacked resume when they graduate, for sure.
Well, we're excited to work with you guys. We look forward to seeing you more often in the future and seeing what our students produce for you guys. Dave Morales and John Stenvall, co-founders of Backstage OL, continued success with the website, and we'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for having us. We definitely want to come back, my friend. Great to see you.
We'll have you back on. We appreciate it.
Cool, for sure.
All right. We're going to move on to Frank Cooper. Frank, when you were in college, did you have a chance to work with Angelina Jolie?
In my dreams, many times. I can't for sure say reality.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm glad we can offer a partnership with our students. You know, when these guys approached us, we wanted to see a way we could make it work for everyone. You know, getting some content for HCCTV that we don't have, like movie reviews, but getting some experience outside of HCCTV for our students. And I really think it's a win-win for everybody involved. And if you are a film study student and you're interested in these opportunities, hit us up here at HCCTV. We're doing this with our interns, our part-timers, and people who are students at HCCTV. We're giving them a chance to work with these guys. And I think it really would help on their resumes.
Absolutely. You know, for such a great art like filmmaking, it's all about exposure. And if you're a student, no matter if it's a community college or university or networking event, you gotta make sure you expose your art and be around people who are like-minded in the trade, who are professionals in the trade, in order to get that exposures.
Right. Frank Cooper, we're going to go into some news and information, and I want to talk a little sports in a little while. But speaking, of resumes, wouldn't it be great to have engineering on your resume? Well, HCC wants to launch you in the engineering program, Frank.
Absolutely. So Houston's one of the largest employers of engineers in the world, and HCC partners in engineering careers with UT Tyler, Texas A&M, Chevron, and the HCC Engineering Academy to create opportunities to become an engineer for half the cost. These sessions will cover requirements, courses, deadlines, and how to apply. So that's 8 p.m. Wednesday, May 12th. The link to register is on after our post.
All right, we're going to move on to our next story, which is going to involve the art car debut this weekend, folks. Last year, the art car parade didn't happen because of COVID. This year, they're doing something called the Art Car Experience. We've got an incredible art car that HCC's literally been working on for 3 years. It's come to fruition. You may have seen it on the show last week, but the HCC Art Car Cooperative ambulance, directed by Professor Ashley Hope and designed and made by students, that's right, will be showcased at a cross-disciplinary project at the 2021 Art Car Experience of Houston. It's happening at the Orange Show this weekend, folks. Friday and Sunday, actually next weekend. Let me correct that. Next weekend, May 14th through 16th. The Orange Show headquarters, they're located. Well, we'll put the address in the social media post for the show. It's an incredible thing. If you haven't seen this art car, you'll get a chance to see it up front and personal. And I hear they're going to leave it on one of our campuses in a permanent installation afterwards. More on that coming now. All right, Student Film Showcase Spring 2021. That's happening, Frank, on next Saturday.
There's a season for our students to show their end of the semester compilation screenings of the projects from filmmaking program courses in TV, video film production, TV production workshop, video graphics and visual effects, cinematography, lighting, documentaries, and directing. Like you said, that's 7 to 9 p.m. next Saturday, May 15th.
Yep.
Viewing link will be provided after the show.
For the sake of time, because I want to chat with Frank a bit on sports, but I want to get through our announcements. So I want to make sure that everyone knows we are now registering for the summer and the fall. You can go to one website, hccs.edu/now, to register today. We've got 5 options of learning, including face-to-face instruction. That's right. The classes are coming back. We're going to get people on the campuses starting this summer for in-person classes. That's one of the 5 options. We also have completely online or ones that are hybrids, a little bit of mixture online and in-person classes. But as I mentioned, go to hccs.edu/now, register today, register for early because in-person classes will be very small. So make sure you do that. Frank, so you were gone for a little while and wanted to get your thoughts on the NFL draft because that was the big news, I believe, last week. Not so big a news for the Houston area, but that's just the way things go.
Yeah, the first round was one of the more entertaining first rounds I've seen in a time. For the first time, I think only twice in history that our quarterback went 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
First time ever. And some other notable things that happened in the draft. We had 2 corners going to top 10, first time in a long time as well. And then the Bears, they tried to right their wrongs from the last few years and traded up. Yes, traded up for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Justin Fields. With Justin Fields falling, they saw it as a prime opportunity. It was a great move by the Bears because I don't know about you, but I don't feel comfortable seeing Andy Dalton starting week 1 as your starting quarterback at this stage of his career.
Yeah,
so,
he's an older guy, good backup, and he seems to step in and fill out that role. And he did well when he was with Cincinnati, I believe. But, I don't think they feel comfortable, and they made that clear. But, hey, the Texans didn't get the draft till like a week after it started because they had rounds. But, they grab a quarterback. People are scratching their heads. I think they got a receiver and or maybe a couple of receivers as well. Does it really matter, though? Does it really matter? I'm reading some early articles that are already saying the Texans are going to pick number 1 in the draft, and they're looking at the quarterbacks that'll be available for them in 2022.
Yeah, it's tough, man. When you don't have a first or second round draft pick, when you mortgage your futures the last few years, the chickens come home to roost. You don't have the draft capital or the picks to make a difference in 2021. And look, I get it. There's a lot of questions going on with Deshaun Watson, so I get why they drafted quarterback in Davis Mills. I don't know much about him. I didn't watch much of Stanford this year. Right. So in a perfect world, hopefully he doesn't play this year. Right.
They're already saying he's going to start, but that's the coach. So, I don't know. It's a weird situation with the Texans, and wow, you just have to kind of scratch your head. And the Texans are Texaning. That's just what they do.
Yeah, I didn't get I understood the Nico Collins pick because I think Fuller's gone. They haven't sent a contract to him.
Yeah, no.
But right when they traded away to do was to make sure he signed Fuller. He traded Hopkins, Fuller. Like, where is this? Like, this in theory, there's supposed to be money left over from not signing DeAndre Hopkins to a longer deal, and I don't understand why. I don't know, man.
Nobody understands. Who understands this team? Does anyone understand the Texans? Please comment below and tell us you understand, because I'm going to go on a limb and say no one's going to say that. But yeah, it's just a crazy world we're living in, Frank. But hey, there's always the Astros, folks. Always the Astros. Yeah. Frank Cooper, we're about to wrap up the show, but we'll see you next week, right?
Yes, sir. Tuesday and Friday.
All right. Mehmet Argan, one of our favorite guests, will be joining us to fill us the latest on the Global Energy Center of Excellence on Monday. And it's Music Monday. We'll have more on that on Monday, live, 10 a.m., right here, up to the minute. See you then.